Alright, I think I'm recording. Yay, can't get Contabod video. Yay. Alright, gotta do the glove thing. I gotta come up with some sort of technique. Let's try this. This is called the technique. Yeah. Alright, there. I made it. Alright, so maybe that's the technique. I don't know, we'll try some others. Which sort of, this range of options in doing things, right? There's all kinds of ways I can navigate any circumstance, in a sense. I mean, that's not going to do a deterministic argument, but I mean, I just mean there's available different choices of navigation through any part of life or engineering. Look, the pyramids, they theoretically, they could have done them upside down, right? Upside down pyramids. Yeah. And no, one engineer guy said, nah, that might not work. Yeah, yeah, it might drill itself into the ground. Yeah, it'd be no good because it'll drill itself into the ground. They came up with some kind of reason why, I don't think upside down triangle would work. So, there's probably some sort of discussion about it. And, it was one of the options maybe, and they just said, nah, that ain't gonna work. And there was a reasonable, more efficient, more rational choice. And you can sort of see it though, through geologic time. There's lots of failed arches, where they just didn't get the keystone thing right, or they didn't quite get the principle quite right. They just said, oh, any old arch will do. Well, not really. And you can see that. And there was somebody pissed on my path. How dare they? Hopefully an animal. Yeah, non-human. It should be the other way around. Humans are the fucking animals. But anyway, besides the point. It's only my tracks here, an animal track, so it wasn't me. At least not today. Anyway, not this day. Anyway, where was I? Alright, so Contabod. Still playing with his can of beans and now doing it in peas, whatever. Now doing it in French. So because people speak a different language, all of a sudden there's no truth in the world. All of a sudden all questions have 5 million different answers. All of a sudden we don't know the difference between efficient and inefficient. We don't know the difference between a straight line and a crooked line. And it's just rubbish. We don't know the difference between a well-engineered car and a badly engineered car. One that's safe at any speed and one that's unsafe at any speed. That kind of thing. All truths are crap and bullshit, and everybody's supposed to be horribly confused and therefore equally retarded. We should all just say, we're all stupid. So let's just do whatever stupid thing comes into our head, because we're too stupid to figure out what the right answer and the wrong answer is. So this is how he deals with philosophy. So he thinks philosophy is about the French word for a can of peas and the English word for a can of peas, that unresolvable conflict. And the other conflict would be the Irish circumstance. So he thinks Northern Ireland is a political fight, is somehow an example of the philosophical conundrum of truth being elusive. And it's just another pile of crap. Clearly, truths that are measuring disparate interests are always going to be complicated. The not in my backyard scenario is all over the place. Is always going to be a tricky truth. Who should be compromised and how much should they be compromised for some general welfare good. These are very complex equations. High-end abstractions of efficiency. It's like in car engineering now. In the past, gaining 5 miles a gallon was almost free. I mean, you know what I'm saying, in the sense that all you had to do was do something simple like fix the aerodynamics. It didn't cost you anything in terms of safety or comfort or, just nothing. Just a little more science was applied. But now there are trade-offs. So now, to get any real good fuel economy, you have to pretty much lighten the vehicle, and then you're using, materials that aren't quite as strong, and you have all kinds of problems at high-speed impacts. Then the car will not retain its integrity, and even with an airbag, the passenger is going to be in big trouble. But so there's a trade-off. So yeah, you can see that in some cases, optimization gets very difficult. The truth is more elusive because the precision of it, the lack of margin of error is very high. It's like there's obvious things to nuclear power plants, right? The obvious thing is a double containment system. Obvious thing, double line pipes. Obvious things. And then when you get to the more abstract and convoluted kind of dangers, it gets harder and harder to come up with obvious solutions that have as big a minimization of risk. So you're getting less and less risk minimization at a higher and higher cost of engineering precision. And so those trade-offs maybe aren't worth it. So the truth is, maybe it's just better to leave it alone. But anyway, so what he's clearly doing here, which is the obnoxious part, is implying that this has something to do. This is, it's getting worse and worse, isn't it? Oh, scary, scary. So back to the leaf pile, and hopefully this video will be not ruined, because I will avoid a watery death. That's almost adequate. I believe we're okay so far. Uh-oh, that one's going to be a problem. Looks like a problem, don't it? Just has problem written all over it. Okay, still alive, still retaining, still maintaining. Oh, I hate this shit. I have to come up with a better system. I don't really want to be doing this all year. Well, all winter. This is not adequate. Last one here. Rocks from yesterday. Oh, yeah, the rocks are all frozen, unfortunately. Very frozen. Alright, well, I'll have to get wet rocks. I'll have to get wet rocks. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Maybe I'll scoop some out with my foot. And then they'll be dry when I come back. Drier. Throw them on there. That middle one. Alright, that's good enough. It's really not good enough, but we'll call it good enough. Alright, so anyway, he's using this to frame a broader philosophical subject, right? And implying that this is a theme in philosophy, in human function, in human interaction, that somehow we don't have to be concerned with truth. We don't have to be concerned with statistical facts. We don't have to be concerned with any of this stuff, but somehow it all fails in some catastrophic way, because somehow the upside down pyramid isn't ludicrous after all. Because the Irish and the English realized it's a lousy political solution to blow each other up. Well, one side was shooting and the other side was blowing. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, every circumstance has a different solution in terms of the conflict and its character. A French guy arguing with an English guy about what a can of peas should be called. It's one type of conflict, and the resolution is somebody just shows up and say, hey, in French, that's the word for chickpeas, and it says to the English guy, in English, and then tells the French guy that papa poo pa 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 pa, which means in English, chickpeas are called that. Problems resolved. Amazing. With a simple iteration of the truth. An explanation of what is causing the conflict. Okay, because the conflict isn't a disagreement. The conflict is, you're not speaking the same language, retards. So that one's an easy one to solve. And we could all feel good. We stopped the war over what a can of fucking suck-ass shitty peas should be called. They're not really peas anyway, they're nuts. But who cares? It tastes like shit. I don't even understand how people eat that crap. God, I hate chickpeas. They got the texture like mushrooms or something. P.U. People eat that crap. Anyway, yes, and so just as I pointed out with this chickpea thingy, and the fact that I find them revolting, I'd rather have a bucket of lima beans than fucking chickpeas. Anyway, and I don't like lima beans much, but that's how much I don't like chickpeas. If they're in my soup or something, I throw them across the room. I hate that shit. It's like, what's this fucking, this thing doing in my fucking food? This foreign body. Anyway. See, now but I'm just saying that's another example. That it's perfectly, if me and another guy are fighting, and he's saying, chickpeas are really good. Oh, no, I love them. Good. We just explained we have subjectively conditioned physiological reactions to things. And our conditioning doesn't have anything to do with merit. So, we have to recognize that a conditioned response isn't necessarily a qualified response. So both of you can have a response, but both of your responses are unqualified by any empirical evidence or data. And so you can agree to disagree because it's a subjective question of no relevant evidentiary import. And so no rational calculation can take place regarding rightness of either one of your subjective opinions. Now, if one of you want to say something like, but chickpeas has 90 zillion nutrient value mineral thingies and is the greatest food per calorie in the universe. Well, now that would be evidence of merit. And then it could be explained to the individual who has the non-conditioned preference regarding non-preference, the anti-preference for chickpeas, that, hey, in spite of your distaste for them, they are a high-quality food of high nutritional value, and it may be in your best interest for your biological function for you to find them more tolerable, or to gain some greater tolerance, and maybe not throw them quite as far across the room. So anyway, I'm being obviously sarcastic and patronizing here, but I mean, obviously there are subjects that are not, that cannot be rationally argued, okay? They can only be argued for the fun of it, you know, like what's better, you know, a woman with a pretty face or big breasts, you know, that kind of shit. You know, that's the kind of argument there's just no point in having, because it's not going to be based on something logical. Except maybe you can make the argument that, you know, breasts are high maintenance, you know, where a pretty face isn't. I guess you have to keep a pretty face and getting smashed, but other than that, you don't have to maintain it. Where, you know, breasts, you gotta, you know, keep them up. They gotta fight gravity and all that crap. So I guess you could make some sort of rational argument. But I'm just saying, as a toy or as a pleasure or a stimulant, there we go. As a male stimulant, the argument is going to be left vacuous of meaningful talking points. All the talking points are going to be bullshit, like, I say so. Yeah, well, at least my dick does. It's my dick's opinion. That is kind of meaningless, right? So, again, grouping all philosophy into the category of 100-year-old political McCoys versus the Hatfield disputes and, you know, language variations and subjective motivators is just nonsense. Philosophy has to deal in subjects that have some correlation to rationally interpretable evidence that means something. And not the subject of evidence doesn't mean anything, but it has to be qualified. You have to qualify when you're having a discussion about something that has value that is only conditional to a majority preference or circumstantial preference that has nothing to do with real merit. It just has to do with more people get raised that way, and which doesn't mean anything regarding merit or integrity or real value or real anything. So anyway, so look, I had to make a whole video about the fact that philosophy isn't about resolving silly you offended my wife disputes or something. That's not what philosophy is about. It's about the biggest, broadest, and most evidentially extensive field of contemplation there is. We have lots of evidence about what we are, how these little human machines function, and how they can function at a peak efficiency with very little compromise to any other competing interest. We can do a lot better, and we're not going to do it sitting around saying, well, let's go ahead and try that upside down pyramid thing. Yeah, no, let's not. So anyway, I believe I've completed my task once again. Yeah. Okay. So till the next time, and such and so forth. Car's out. Yeah. Anyway, till next time. Sorry about the sniffling. It's winter.